Legal and political atmosphere in Nigeria has reached a boiling point this January 2026 as the long-standing controversy surrounding Sheikh Ahmad Gumi has taken a dramatic and high-stakes turn. For years, the Kaduna-based Islamic cleric has been a lightning rod for public debate due to his unconventional role as a self-appointed mediator between the government and the bandits terrorizing the Northwest. However, as we step into this new year, the calls for his accountability have reached an unprecedented crescendo. The Human Rights Writers Association of Nigeria, popularly known as Huriwa, has officially intensified its demand for the immediate arrest and prosecution of the sheikh. This is not just another headline. It is the culmination of years of frustration from civil society groups who argue that Gumi's public defenses of these forest bandits, whom he has famously referred to as victims of marginalization, border on criminal complicity. The gist of the story right now is centered on whether the Nigerian government will finally buckle under this pressure or continue to allow the cleric to operate as a rogue diplomat in the nation's security crisis. What makes this situation even more captivating in 2026 is the backdrop of intensified military operations across the country. Just last week, reports surfaced of massive airstrikes in Sokoto and Kaduna, some of which were allegedly coordinated with international intelligence. In the middle of this firestorm, a viral claim began circulating across social media platforms suggesting that Sheikh Gumi had already been apprehended by international authorities or that he was being targeted for elimination. While fact-checkers have clarified that Gumi remains in his Kaduna residence, the cleric himself added fuel to the fire by releasing a video on his official Facebook page on January 4, 2026. In this explosive address, he claimed he was informed by high-level sources in Abuja that he had been marked for elimination as a Boko Haram member during a national security briefing. This claim has sent shockwaves through the political landscape, as Gumi argues that foreign powers are being invited to treat domestic critics as terrorists. He has challenged the northern political and religious leadership to break their silence, warning that if he can be targeted today, no one is safe tomorrow. As the story develops, Huriwa and other advocacy groups have countered Gumi's narrative of victimhood. Their argument is straightforward and resonates with millions of Nigerians who have suffered at the hands of kidnappers. If any other citizen were seen in the forest taking photos with mass murderers and advocating for them to receive amnesty and multi-million naira empowerment schemes, that citizen would be in handcuffs. Huriwa's national coordinator has been very vocal, stating that Gumi's favorable disposition toward those who kill and maim innocent Nigerians is a slap in the face of the rule of law. They are demanding that the Department of State Services, the DSS, act on the numerous petitions against him. This is the related talk that is currently dominating the airwaves. Many Nigerians are asking if there is a double standard in our justice system. Why is it that some activists are arrested for simply organizing protests while a man who has direct access to the nation's most wanted criminals remains free to criticize the very military trying to stop the violence? If you are watching this and you want to stay updated on the most sensitive security news and the real truth behind these viral headlines, please do us a huge favor right now. Like this video and hit that subscribe button immediately. Your support is what allows us to dig deeper into these stories and bring you the facts that others are too afraid to report. By subscribing, you become a part of a community that values transparency and national security. So click that button and join the movement today. It helps us keep the channel running and ensures you never miss a breaking update on the people shaping the future of Nigeria. The debate in 2026 has shifted because the government's patience seems to be wearing thin. In past years, the Minister of Information had stated that the sheikh was not above the law and was being invited for questioning. However, the lack of follow-up has led to a sense of impunity. Now, with President Tinubu's administration facing renewed pressure to end the banditry crisis once and for all, Gumi's role is under a microscope. He recently criticized the use of foreign airstrikes on Nigerian soil, specifically the US strikes against ISWAP in Sokoto, calling them an affront to our sovereignty. But critics argue that Gumi only talks about sovereignty when the criminals he mediates for are the ones being hit. This has created a massive divide in public opinion. In the markets of Kaduna and the offices of Abuja, the talk is the same. Is Sheikh Gumi a peacemaker or a terrorist apologist? Huriwa insists it is the latter and has threatened to take the matter to international human rights courts if the Nigerian government fails to act this year. Adding a layer of intrigue to the story is the cleric's claim that he was nearly eliminated back in 2012 by a Boko Haram bomb plot and that the current allegations against him are a recycled attempt to finish what the terrorists started. He describes himself as a moderate who is caught between a government that doesn't understand the root causes of the crisis and terrorists who hate him for preaching a more peaceful path. But for the families of the students abducted from Kurida or the Greenfield University victims, many of whom Gumi reportedly negotiated for, the root causes don't matter as much as the ransom they had to pay and the lives they lost. The gist is that the public's appetite for negotiation has vanished. Nigerians want results, and they want anyone linked to the banditry network, whether physically or ideologically, to face the music. Furthermore, the involvement of international actors in the 2026 security landscape has made Gumi's position even more precarious. With the US conducting high-profile strikes against extremist leaders in the Sahel, the Nigerian government is under pressure to show it is not protecting individuals who sympathize with these groups. Huriwa has specifically pointed to the 2022 Terrorism Prevention Act, which criminalizes the provision of intellectual or material support to terrorists. They argue that Gumi's repeated assertions that kidnapping is a lesser evil than killing soldiers falls directly under the category of providing ideological cover for criminals. This legal argument is gaining traction, especially as more Nigerians see the contrast between Gumi's freedom and the continued detention of other high-profile figures. The tension reached a new height when Gumi filed a multi-million naira lawsuit against certain social media influencers and news platforms for defamation after they claimed he had already been arrested. This move was seen as a bold attempt to reclaim his narrative, but Huriwa responded by stating that a lawsuit doesn't erase the thousands of lives lost to the bandits he visits in the forest. As we monitor the situation, the big question remains, will the DSS invite him for a chat that turns to something more permanent? Or will the Sheikh continue to navigate the thin line between religious leader and political provocateur? One thing is for certain, the eyes of the world are on Kaduna and the demand for justice is louder than it has ever been in the history of this insurgency. The story is far from over. As we move further into January 2026, the pressure on the security agencies to define Gumi's status is reaching a breaking point. Will he be officially designated as a person of interest, or will he continue to hold court in Kaduna, dismissing news of his arrest as fake news while the death toll in the rural north continues to rise? The Sheikh remains active, recently hosting live streams where he continues to call for a non-military approach to the conflict. However, with the military recording major victories in Borno and the Northwest using high-precision technology, his calls for dialogue are falling on deaf ears. The Huriwa demand for his arrest is no longer just a press release. It is a rallying cry for millions of citizens who believe that for Nigeria to be truly free of terror, there can be no untouchables. We are keeping a very close watch on the DSS headquarters and the presidency to see if a formal warrant will finally be issued. This is the kind of story that defines a nation's commitment to justice, and we will be here to bring you every single update as it happens. Make sure you have liked the video and subscribed so you don't miss the next chapter in this incredible saga.